Welcome to Norm and Katie's Legal Fight Club, where what happens in Legal Fight Club doesn't just stay here. It's spread far and wide so that all of you understand the inside baseball of what's happening not only in the law, but also in politics. And Norm, we have a special guest today. Who is it?
Katie, our special guest today is Judge Mark Wolf, one of our nation's most distinguished federal judges. And he's just left the federal bench in Boston, where he formerly served as chief judge, and has written an article in The Atlantic, Why I Am Resigning, that is a must read for every American. We're so honored that his first appearance on independent media is here on Norm and Katie's Legal Fight Club. Welcome, Judge Wolf.
Thank you, Ambassador. Nice to see you again. And actually,
Wonderful.
very nice to have not only the opportunity to speak to you, but to some of the American people as well. Because as we can discuss if you want, that's a meaningful part of my motive for leaving the bench.
Judge, since we're talking about your reasons for leaving the bench, tell us, why did you resign, and what did you write in this terrific Atlantic article on why I am resigning?
Well, in an effort to be more pithy than I usually am, I'll say at least ever since I was an assistant to the Attorney General of the United States after Watergate, I've been dedicated to striving to make the ideal of equal justice under law a reality. Equal justice, I left the bench because what I've seen this year is the partisan abuse of the Department of Justice, which is utterly inconsistent with the ideal of equal justice under law. I've seen the failure to investigate what may be criminal corruption because the Department of Justice's capacity to do that has been substantially diminished and dismantled. The FBI's public corruption unit's been abolished. The public integrity section of the Department of Justice has been eviscerated, no longer has 30 lawyers, it has 5, and they're not allowed to do investigations of potential election fraud. And the president has given directions to prosecute his perceived political enemies. And it seems that his friends and allies, donors, are not being investigated at all. And this is completely inconsistent with the fundamental principle of equal justice under law that's etched in the entry of the United States Supreme Court. If I have the power to be heard, along with many others, I'm hopeful that we can protect the rule of law and U.S. democracy, which I think is now under an existential threat of being destroyed.
Judge, I think people need to understand the import of your resignation. Not only is it from somebody who has served honorably for decades in the role as an esteemed jurist, but as judges, it is a requirement that you don't express an opinion in any way about what's happening politically, right? You're supposed to sit on the bench, call balls and strikes, and apply the facts to the law as your role. So why did you feel so compelled to have to actually step away from the auspices or from the office to be able to express your frustration, your concerns about the existential threat to democracy that's being posed to the weaponization of the judicial system at this time?
There is a code of conduct for judges that says if you're a sitting judge, you can't write or say anything that would call your impartiality into question. But given this existential threat to democracy, given the fact that my successor was appointed in 2013 or 14 when I became a senior judge. The fact that my colleagues, I think, are performing admirably in Massachusetts and around the country in the trial courts, the federal district courts, often having their decisions quickly, in effect, reversed by the Supreme Court on its emergency or shadow docket. Seeing everything that I've devoted my professional life to being damaged, if not destroyed, I heard from a number of people that I respect, including former judges, urging me to join them. I'm not a Lone Ranger, and work with other individuals and organizations to try to protect and preserve the rule of law and democracy in the United States, which I think is under an existential threat.
Judge, two last questions for you. You wrote in your Atlantic article that judges, while sitting on the bench, can't speak for themselves, so that you would fill that void. Can you explain that idea? And second question, you've been pretty outspoken that you're leaving the bench to fight for democracy. You've already emerged as a leader. Are you scared?
To start with the last question, I recognize that there are risks. There have been risks while I've been a judge. There have been threats, and at times, and I think there are risks. But I feel very fortunate. I'm going to be 79 years old in a couple weeks. This country has been very good to my family and me. My grandmother crossed Russia in a covered wagon as an orphan, teenage orphan. My father was admitted to Harvard and couldn't afford to go during the Great Depression. I've had an excellent education. I've had opportunities for very fulfilling roles to perform public service. And I would like to try to assure that my grandchildren and everybody else's grandchildren in this country and indeed around the world has the same opportunities for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that I've had. And it's the promise of America, inspires people around the world, as you know, Ambassador. And I would like to see that preserved for future generations. I think one thing that's very important, and the reason I feel compelled to speak out is, as famous Judge Learned Hand said in about 1944 in his naturalization talk called The Spirit of Liberty, we actually depend too much on laws and constitutions in the United States. They're meaningless if the American people have lost the spirit of liberty, the love of liberty. And, we saw this in the Nixon tapes case, which is my formative experience, when the Supreme Court ordered Richard Nixon to turn over the tapes he secretly made in the Oval Office. He could have refused in 1974, but he knew the American people would not tolerate that disobedience to a Supreme Court order. He turned over the tapes. They had incriminating information about himself and his colleagues, and he resigned. I'm uncertain about what will happen today. Maybe I would say, be more precise, what is happening today. And I think it's very important that the American people, and not just those who will watch the Contrarian, but people across a wide spectrum of opinions and inclinations, hear about the facts, the true facts. In the courthouse that I've just left, you walk in, it's a beautiful courthouse, and etched in the rotunda is Louis Brandeis's statement, "Justice is but truth in action." And there is such a thing as real truth, real facts, not alternate facts, not fake news, real facts. And I don't have an exaggerated view of my potential influence, but it's my hope that joining with many other individuals and organizations, that I can contribute to the American public having accurate information and sustaining the spirit of liberty that has made this country the world's best hope for generations.
Judge Wolf, I know I don't speak on only my behalf, but on behalf of all Americans, regardless of party affiliation, that to have somebody like you fighting on the side of democracy is a priceless asset. The ability for you to explain the nuances of the law and perhaps kind of the inside baseball of why decisions are being made the way that they are is going to be a true weapon to achieve the justice that we all seek and deserve. I know that we are strong on our own, but stronger when we're united. So I thank you, sir, for your continued service as you've left the bench in order to join me and Norm and others in the fight. Norm, some last words?
Very grateful. You'll get to know Judge Wolf, friends across the country, as he makes his voice heard, as he says, on behalf of the judges on the federal bench who can't speak out. For my part, I feel that our pro-democracy coalition is stronger today for having Judge Mark Wolf in the fight. And I know that we've loved having him here on Norm and Katie's Legal Fight Club, and we hope he'll join us often. Thank you, Judge Wolf.
Thank you very much.